It's time for Talkin Tauntauns, your Star Wars source at AIPTcomics.com.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Talkin Tauntauns. I am Jim Lahane, and with me as always is Nicole Herview.
Oh, hello there.
And with us to talk the premiere of Season 3 of The Mandalorian is our favorite, JJ Travers.
That's right, Connor. I'm the favorite.
Yeah, we did this last time.
Yes, you're our favorite JJ Travers.
Eventually you'll forget, and I'll sneak it by.
Connor's coming on next week, so we'll see how that works for you.
Yeah, he's all right. Just kidding, buddy. I love you. Hey, guys. Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's been a while.
Been a minute. Welcome back.
Since I think beginning of January when we talked at the beginning of Bad Batch.
Yeah. And now beginning of Mando. I'm here for beginnings, but I definitely want to be here for the ending of Mando.
Absolutely.
We'll see if we can make it work in our calendar.
See if we can fit you in. No,
I appreciate it if you can pencil me in for that.
Definitely pencil. You don't get the ink.
You don't get pen.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll work my way to pen.
How are you doing, JJ?
Pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. The little guy is crawling, which is a fun new adventure of not being able to turn your back for a second. All sorts of, Jim, you would really appreciate this, like house repair after house repair. In my garage, I have a new door and bulkhead. Both are being replaced in my basement. We're ripping the bulkhead off tomorrow, and my father-in-law decided that a piece of plywood on hinges was a good basement door, so I bought an actual door to replace that. And we have cracks in the foundation that are being repaired.
Nice.
Yeah, all sorts of fun stuff going on in Houseland.
Are you doing the door yourself?
Yeah, my buddy is coming over tomorrow, who's a carpenter.
Oh, that's good. That's useful.
Yeah, because I'm not going to mess with a door by myself. The door is honestly more intimidating than the bulkhead is.
I put in my first door a few years ago, and like you look at the directions, it's like if you're an expert, this should take about 2 hours. If you're, or it's like an hour. If you're intermediate, about like 2 to 3 hours. If you're a novice beginner, about 5 hours. It took me 9 hours.
I believe it, man. I will not mess with doors. That's something that I'm just like, nah. It's so easy to screw it up. But yeah, I am doing a lot of things on the house. I bought a new bathroom fan that I did a ton of research on, and I was so excited when it arrived. And I had one of those moments where I was like, oh, I'm really excited that my new bathroom fan arrived. This is a different period of life. I just kind of had this private moment to myself where I was really disappointed.
Cried
for a
in
few
a corner.
minutes. Just like, oh crap, how did this happen?
Yeah. When did I enter this season of my life?
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Marked it on a calendar. Next stage of life entered.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, things are pretty good. Can't complain.
Good.
How are you doing, Nicole?
Oh, I'm good. I'm tired. For reasons that I inflicted upon myself. So, I'm doing great. Just game night with my friends and stuff. And that was it. It was great. So I was up till 3 a.m. So your girl's tired. By choice.
You were up until 3 or out until 3?
Up until 3.
What were you doing until 3 a.m.?
Game night with my friends. We got home at like 2:30.
I think I was getting the coffee while you were explaining this.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We were out from until like 2. I think we left their house at 2, got here, back here at 2:30, and then just finally got into bed at 3.
What a late night bad girl.
Hey, look at me go. That doesn't happen a lot. I'm usually in bed. I literally was saying to my friends, like, at 10:30, I was like, I'm gonna need something to get me over this hump because this is bedtime. But as soon as I get to like 11:30, I'm gonna be fine. Like, I'm in it for the long haul. But like, this hour is gonna suck. But yeah.
I have a similar thing these days. Like, once I hit a certain point, if I can make it past that sleepy phase, then I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. So I got through that, and then, now I'm paying for it. So
Yeah. I'm just trudging along with home construction. We finished
It's impressive,
today.
dude.
We're marking the completion of our front entryway complete. I just got to do one more thing, hang up the coat hooks on the wall. But we stained. I did electrical work yesterday, and we get like as another area of the house that we can check off as done for now because we need to put in a doorway in there eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like seeing your updates on Instagram. It's impressive stuff.
It is.
I try. I only show the good ones. I think as we told Holly, it's like, I'm not going to post the bad photos.
Yeah, this is true.
I sometimes do post the bad photos of when things go really horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is what could happen. I also do not like posting in the middle shots because if I'm doing something wrong, I really hate it when people come in and go, or like the code inspector people, like, that's not up to code. And like, I really do not want that.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Once it's hidden, then you can see the pictures.
There you go.
All the bad stuff's hidden. All right. I think we mentioned it before. There's a new show, new season of a show that started off this week.
When one chooses to walk the way of the Mandalore, you are both hunter and prey. This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
So, Season 3, Episode 1 of The Mandalorian, Chapter 17, the Apostate. Apostate.
Apostate. How many times did he have to say it in the episode, Jim?
They only said it like once.
Said it like 3 times. And they've said it before.
Yeah, okay. The apasta.
Sure. The antipasta. Yeah, I got it.
The antipasta. You can't get the antipasta mixed up with the pasta because then it'll have a nuclear explosion.
Yeah. Salami and cheeses and stuff like that. You can't get it in your pasta.
I refuse to acknowledge that joke.
Yeah, this is getting ridiculous. It's getting absurd.
So, before we get into the episode itself, some news dropped about the episode, but more about the timeline of The Mandalorian.
People are mad.
Well, apparently they did. I've seen this in 2 separate locations, and there's the Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are saying 2 different things from what it sounds like. And I don't know if maybe they misspoke on one of them because it's like, I'm not quite sure what's going on. But they said that seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian took place over several years. And then that Grogu has been with Luke for 2 years. But I also heard elsewhere that they said that it's been 2 years since we've last seen them, meaning the end of The Mandalorian, the end of the second season was 2 years ago, which it was 2 years ago. And so that's why I'm not sure, did they misspeak? They had to have misspoke about something because people are getting, or at least people are understanding them completely out of, either out of context or in context, and things are really weird. Because
I think they just said 2 separate things.
True.
I just think they're saying 2 separate things. That
true,
it has
right?
been 2 years since we have seen Mando and Grogu, which is in The Mandalorian, which is true. And also, he was training with Luke for 2 years. I think they're both just true. They don't contradict each other at all. So I think they're just both true.
Yeah, but
I'm
it's
with
also
you, Nicole.
like the tracking of seasons 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. almost is back to back. Like the episodes are almost back to back. Like that. Like personally, I do not see how that could have been several years.
I'd have to watch it again, but I'm sure that there's travel space, and I have no idea. But I guess I'd have to watch it again. I will say that watching from where we left off last season, right, to where we start off this season, particularly on Navarro, that's 2 years. Absolutely. Like 100%. I see that being 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Navarro's always a good indicator of how much time has passed, because you can see how much the planet and the city has changed, which I also just love in general. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I kind of like that they're adding a lot of time here. I feel like there's got to be a reason for it, maybe. I don't know.
There needs to be room to breathe. So much has happened to change the trajectory of these people's lives, that I get them saying, excuse me, that there was room in there. That it's not just like this one thing happened to Din Djarin and he's just been on a like tear ever since. And it's been like 2 months. Like, that's a lot. So I like that they're giving it room, you know?
And just like something that I feel like this show makes people forget, when they like travel, they're not like hopping into hyperspace and exiting like 10 minutes later. It can take like weeks and months to traverse to like parts of the galaxy that they're going to. So like even from like a very basic level of travel, like adding that time makes sense.
I agree with you. I think that's where a lot of the time is. Because the events are back to back, but like, yeah, there's a lot of travel time in between going from this planet to that planet or whatever. So I think it makes sense. I just have to watch it again to pinpoint those moments and how many there are. But I think it's feasible. I think it's just been, you know, there's downtime of mostly travel in between events. And also, I appreciate that it's been 2 years that Grogu was with Luke. Because then there's still weight to the end of Mandalorian season 2, if that's the case. Otherwise, it's like he just turned around 3 seconds later and went and picked him up. You know, like he was there for a week and went. Like then it's just like you just ruined everything. If it's 2 years, okay, like that makes sense to me. So I'm not mad about it. I think I'm glad that they clarified that, even though there's really no timestamp. There's no like full understanding of how long anything has been at all.
I think that's my biggest issue, is that in the show, we have zero indication of anything. Like they shouldn't be saying this outside the show. It literally could be half a line dropped. Like, yeah, you were gone for 2 years or something like that. Like, like.
It's hard to do that without it feeling really clunky. Like, the only way to do it with any sort of grace is to have a timestamp, which is how Rebels did it, right? They're not really talking about how much time has passed. There's just a timestamp at the beginning of an episode. Like, it's this place on this, like, this year. Great. That would have been fine with me. But I don't know. I feel like doing it in dialogue gracefully is really, really hard. Like, really difficult. It just doesn't bother me that much. I'm like, okay, great. Good information. I wish it was in the actual context of the show somehow. But I'm like, I'd rather know that time has passed than not. So I don't really care.
Well, we also have the other internet foofafa, where people were complaining before this episode ever premiered. People were like, how are people going to know that Grogu and the Mandalorian got back together? It just kind of wiped away the end of season 2. In my head, is like, you have a recap. You're going to point out that they got back together in the recap. They did point out that they got back together in the recap. Like,
they didn't even mention that he left.
No. Not at all.
That recap almost had nothing to do with Grogu. He, like, wasn't in it. I was like, okay, all right, I guess it's not relevant right now. I guess we'll deal with that later.
Maybe they didn't want more people watching Boba Fett.
Ooh. Woof.
I said it. That's right.
Wow, woof.
They had more in that recap about IG-11, which really, like, I think you could have cut all of the recap of IG-11 and just put in like a little bit of Book of Boba Fett and went, hey, we got him back.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was weird too. I thought that was a strange one, but what are you gonna do? Like,
it's not the end of the world, but it is weird.
It's weird. I mean, like, I thought it was flawed to have like Mandalorian season 2.5 in the middle of Book of Boba Fett, but like, okay.
Those two should have been like 2 separate miniseries.
I agree. I totally agree. Like, literally call it season 2.5, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
doesn't have to be
fine.
complicated or special.
Or like
just...
Mandalorian, the quest for Grogu. Give me something. You know what I mean? Something stupid, and make it a movie.
That would have been cool, actually, if they
film.
did like a special.
Yeah, would have been fun. But
It's
whatever.
not that
They did what they
complicated.
did. They did what they did. We can't change it. We are where we are. But I think the point is the episode was dope. I loved this episode. I thought it was very fun, very interesting. I never thought I'd just see a giant crocodile in the middle of space.
Oh, important question.
Yeah.
Speaking of giant crocodile, am I the only one who thought this was like a flashback to Mando getting his helmet?
Genuinely thought it was a flashback.
Okay, cool.
But it it had like a Sabine's colors to the helmet.
It did, yeah.
And so I was so confused. I'm like, is that Sabine? Is that like Din? Like, but it doesn't.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I was so confused. You're right. Until obviously
he showed
up.
Until the moment that ship showed up, I thought it was a flashback the whole time.
They really like bait and switched me on it. I was like, okay, this is awesome.
I wonder why that is, though, right? Like, why did we get the signal that it was a flashback? Like, if you break down the scene, there's really nothing that, like, indicates that it was. Everyone's, like, the same age. The armor is the same armor. You know what I mean? But we just assumed, like, it's a flashback. I wonder why that is. There has to be some analysis of that somewhere. But it's interesting that we all thought the same thing. I'm not mad about it. I thought it was a fine scene. But I don't know why we all just were like, this is a flashback. It must be.
I think because, like, the group is so different from what we have seen before. Last we saw, it was just the two of them. Jon Favreau and the Armorer.
Yeah, pre-Vizsla. Post-Vizsla. And whatever this guy's name is that I can't remember. Paz Vizsla?
Paz Vizsla.
Yeah.
He's voiced by Jon Favreau.
Right, yes.
The armor is so good, man.
She's great. I love that she's just running the world now. She's like, I'm in charge. I always have been, I always will be, I'm in charge. I'm like, okay, babe, go for it. But yeah,
Seems like
that helmet was cool, by the way. I liked watching her make that helmet.
Also, it seems like they've like really rebuilt their ranks because they were like pretty depleted before.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was saying. They were down to 2. Like, I literally think they had no more than just the 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells you what kind of door-to-door salesmanship they got going on there.
They're great recruiters. Really proud of them. I think that also speaks to time past.
I think it does.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
It's just another signal that, like, it's been a while, you know? Which I think is cool.
Like, we saw... Did we see the armor in Book of Boba Fett? Like,
yes.
So it's been a while since Book of Boba Fett, then?
No, because I think we saw the armor at the very, very beginning of Mando's story within Book of Boba Fett. I think there was a fair amount of time between that scene on the ship when they're fighting and everything, and they're like, you took your helmet off, you're not a Mandalorian anymore. I think there's time between that moment and when he actually finds Grogu again. I think there's a lot of space and time in between those two. So I think that time passed within Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, so Book of Boba Fett is our sponge, essentially,
that's
soaking up that space. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's time between the end of Mando 2 and when he sees the armor and everybody again, a little bit of time, and then a large chunk of time after for everything else that happens, because we see him just kind of down and out and miserable. And who knows? It doesn't really matter what he was doing between then and when he went to go get Grogu back.
He was learning how to not fight with the Darksaber.
Correct. So I think that's Anyway, but yeah, I think that's just a good indication, another good indication that time has passed, and I do think that is fair. If they literally just gave us that and Navarro and whatever, you'd see some level of time has passed here, and it's like, okay, I understand, but also people have a very low media literacy right now for some reason. I don't know why. So I think they had to spoon feed the like, it's 2 years, babes. It's 2 years. Everyone get on the same page. It's 2 years. But like, it's there. The clues are there. The evidence is there. It's just that they told us exactly the amount of time, which is interesting. But anyway, that aside, what a cool scene. And also, they lost a lot of people to a crocodile. Like, what were they going to do if Din Djarin didn't show up and be like, yo, I've got a ship, and it's going to blow this thing up.
What a cool entrance.
Yeah. It was very interesting. It was a cool scene. I'm sad for the dead crocodile.
So I'm reminded, literally last week we talked to Melissa Miller about how the Mandalorian TV show has a tendency to randomly kill animals.
Yeah.
And her hope was that we wouldn't do that, continue to do that. And literally, I looked at my watch. It was less than 5 minutes into the show before they started to kill an animal.
To be fair, it was going to kill and eat all of them. So there was defense, but that was a lot. I was like, oh, that was quick. We got one dead. Really
I want to
quick.
see somebody wearing crocodile armor in an upcoming episode.
Ooh. Yeah, they don't have to worry about being fed for a while either. Like that's people eat that kind of, I don't know what it is in space, but you could eat that.
I thought with your comment, JJ, I want to see a crocodile wearing Mandalorian armor.
Ooh, I'd like to see that as well.
I would also be very open to that, yes.
Yeah, I like that. I think the closest thing we'll get is a oh my god, what's the race?
Trandoshan?
Yeah, Trandoshan in Trandoshan Mandalorian. That'd
be
fun.
Interesting.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting. I loved Navarro. I loved the whole pirate situation. I have to point out the fact that I am pretty sure the creatures, the pirates specifically, it was like prosthetics and practical makeup, and it looked phenomenal. I was so pleased with how that looked. That like it wasn't CGI, and if it was a little enhanced by CGI, fine. But that was mainly prosthetics, and you could tell. And the design was incredible. Of the main pirate whose name is escaping me right now. The like seaweed, like swamp thing guy.
The captain.
The one who ran away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was he on a, the ship looked very like, separatist.
It did,
inspired.
Didn't it?
But yeah,
with a cool paint job. Yeah.
I was right there with you, Nicole. I absolutely love practical effects. It's so much more satisfying to see them take the time to make something like that than just, CGIing it. Sometimes it looks good, but it never looks better than good practical effects.
Yeah. Yes, Vane, but his boss looked particularly incredible.
Oh.
The swampy guy.
Mm-hmm.
The seaweed
Gorian, man. I can't see that. Gorian Shard.
Thank you. Gorian Shard. Freaking incredible. I liked Vane as well. I liked that whole little band of pirates. They all looked great. Everyone looked fantastic. And then he just was sitting there in the middle of his ship, and I was like, oh, that's a cool design. That's a really, really interesting. Like, I want him to come back a lot because that was so cool. And especially on a show that we know is filmed on the volume for the most part. So they're not using a lot of practical sets. They're using a lot of practical set pieces, but the sets themselves, the backgrounds are not practical, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It always looks good.
You can't tell very often.
No, you really can't. And I think that's fine. I just like that there is something so and Grogu's practical most of the time as well. He's a puppet.
Yeah.
I just love having those elements in a show that we know is so technologically advanced, that's taking advantage to the best of their ability of CGI and all of those like technological improvements. But doesn't it just feel, it just tickles something on the inside of my heart and brain when it's like, ooh, someone made that with their hands. Like, and that's just fun in a world where we don't get that as much anymore. They're both valid, both incredible skills, and both artistry. Definitely. 100%. But I just love seeing a practical makeup effect and a prosthetic. Like, I think that, like, we don't get that enough anymore. And it looked dope. It just looks so good. Like,
it's a big part of why I loved Farscape so much. I'm dating myself here, but that was one of my favorite sci-fi shows, and it's because Jim Henson's team did such an amazing job with all the different. Yeah, look at that shirt.
I have a Fraggle Rock shirt on.
But
It's,
they
like,
did all
so
the
fun.
all the puppets and the creatures for that show, and there was a lot of them, and it just made it feel so much more immersive, like you were in this like strange part of the universe. And that's what I love about this. It looks so good. As you said, Nicole, you can tell they put a lot of effort into it. It shows how much they care, and it just like adds to that level of immersion. Like, oh, look at that guy, what's his deal? As opposed to, just some like, there's a computer alien walking by, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot more practical sets than we are led to believe. I do not think as much of this show is filmed on the volume as people are assuming. As I wonder if Navarro is an actual place, like an outdoor set location, because it does not look made up. And we know that Andor was, I believe, completely on set. They didn't use the volume whatsoever. They built that entire town. And I'm wondering if maybe not built this town, but at least used a like on-set location, because the Jedi Tython, when Grogu sat in the stones, that was an on-set location.
Oh, sure.
Because it's right around California that they did that. So, like, obviously, a lot of it is like the temple on that Bo-Katan's at is obviously
The volume.
like the volume.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think a lot of the stuff in the foreground on Navarro is real, but built on the volume. You know what I mean? Like anything that they are interacting with, if they're walking through a set, you know what I mean? Like they built a set, but they built a set on the volume. Well, we won't know until they release like how they made this, right? But I think they built that Navarro set, and then anything like way far back is the volume. Do you know what I mean? Like think about a play. Like they built it, but like 50% of what they would do if they were shooting on location. That's my assumption. That's what I think is happening. But again, we won't know for sure for a while. So it is what it is. But it is interesting to think about because it looks so good. Navarro in particular looks fantastic.
It does.
Like to the point where we got there and we were walking through the city, whatever. Yeah, I looked at my boyfriend and I was like, can we move here? Please? Like, this place looks dope. Like, I want to live in Navarro. This looks fantastic. I want to hang out with what's his title now? High Magistrate. High Magistrate Grief Karga. I want to hang out with him all the time.
That's High Magistrate.
Love that. I was like, look at him go. Like he's advocating for himself. We love to see it.
Speaking of Navarro, the whole like Grief still being like, I still got it, baby. I can still murder pirates was a great scene. But I also really, really liked Grogu and Mando in the like whatever those guys are from
the Babu Frick guys.
Yeah, whatever race they are. Hanging out in like the tiny like, droid repair shop, and like Grief bending down, and he said da 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 da.
It's like, I know, Grief.
It's like, I know, I can stand
hear
him
him
now. That whole scene was just like the quirky, it like really nailed like the quirkiness of Star Wars and its humor. I loved that scene. It was so good.
And Grogu just picking up one of them and hugging him.
Yeah.
And then like, Din is like, dude, put him down. Like, he's just so tired. I was like, that's a tired father. Like, that's just the like,
Just stop.
hilarious. I was like, it's too real. He's like, Grogu. Like, he just has this pain in his voice. Like, oh, dear God, put him down. Like, it's just so funny. It was like one of the, like, so well done. So funny. Just the timing, everything about that scene was just like so light and funny. Right after, like, the IG unit waking up and immediately trying to kill
murder
Grogu.
Yeah,
and it was
well, that's
like zombie droid. That was incredible. I was like, ooh, horror movie moment. Like, this is really effective. Then the dropping of the bust on its head.
Was the bust of Grief Karga?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did go, that's using your head. I lost my mind. I was like, oh, he's such a dad. He's making dad jokes. Are you kidding me? It's so good. The delivery was excellent. And it's just, that was so good. Everything about that.
That scene felt like it was something out of Terminator. We've seen something like that before, but I can't remember where.
Yeah.
Was it Terminator?
It was Terminator. It's when she, like, I forget how he gets it's in the first one. They're in the factory and, like, basically the legs get cut off and it's still crawling using one arm towards Linda Carter, and then it gets crushed in the press. But yeah, that movie it brought me right back to that scene. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'm like, I've seen this scene before, but I could not place it.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It's also every zombie thing ever, when a zombie's cut in half and still coming at you. Yeah. And won't die. It just won't die. Unless you crush its head.
I do want to mention, pour one out for Cara Dune.
I loved that. I was like, yes, tell us why we're never going to see her again. Love it. Thank you so much. It's a shame. The character was good.
I don't think they actually changed. Like, if they were going to do Rangers of the New Republic and she was going to be the star of that, this storyline makes sense there. So I think they left it in as they were going to do it and just don't see where she goes. Yeah. But I kind of wanted to see what they, like a MASH moment. And so, like, if anybody doesn't know, around the midpoint of MASH, the first half of the show, Henry Blake was like one of the main guy in charge. And like, he kept wanting to go home. Finally, he gets to go home and he leaves in an episode. And like, one of the most pivotal moments in all of television is they come in and say that his helicopter went down and there were no survivors after he had like left and gone. Like, he wasn't killed. He was like killed off screen. And it was one of those like literally anybody who has seen that episode knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because it was such like a monumental episode. And that's what, like, I think The Simpsons kind of ripped it off. Whereas like, and so went off into space. It was never seen again. Yeah. The dog. I think it was the dog.
Poochie. It's Poochie.
Poochie, yes.
I have to go back to my home planet. And Poochie died on it, like, on his way back to his home planet. Yeah. You're never going to see him again.
And so everybody was thinking that they would do that with Cara Dune. But I kind of like that they didn't kill off her character.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe we'll see somebody else reprise the role.
We'll see. Yeah, I liked that kind of like, yeah, we're going to acknowledge that this is a thing. Let's move on now. Like, great. It was very, like, they put a bow on it and they left it there and they were like, we're done now. Like, cease.
And you have a freaking galaxy. Like,
yeah.
You
can go anywhere.
You're not going to meet, like, I have yet to run into Barack Obama, and I probably never will, because it's a big country. This is a galaxy.
Yeah, it's a big country. It's a big world. That's a big galaxy. Yeah. That's interesting. Bo-Katan, dude.
That was a little ominous, huh?
What an energy. Loved it. I, of course, immediately thought of Maul sitting on the throne in the throne room. Immediately.
It had the same
vibe.
I just love Katie Sackhoff. I think she's phenomenal, and the way she's playing it. Also, she has her helmet sitting next to her, which is like a direct affront to Mando's entire culture.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. It's so intense. It was such a good scene because like nothing actually like happened. Like it was just like, let's have a conversation. I'm gonna be real aggressive and prickly about it. And there was so much weight to it, regardless. Like it was so effective and so interesting, and they are definitely setting her up to be like an adversary. And I love it. I think it's brilliant, and it's exciting. It really set up a lot.
Well, yeah, she was like, you still swinging the Darksaber around?
Yeah.
I had an army. I had forces, but they all left me because of you.
Yeah.
And just the whole conversation, the atmosphere, like clearly, she's gonna try to probably murder him or do something bad to get the Darksaber, and blames him for her current troubles. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know that Katie Sackhoff rules and Bo-Katan rules, and I just can't wait to see whatever the heck they decide to do with this.
It's gonna be so freaking cool.
I know that forget the character name, but I know the character that Sasha Banks played,
I was gonna ask about that,
is gonna be back this season.
Is she okay? Good, because I did like her character, and I felt like, wasn't she just not there?
Yeah,
At
and
one point.
her and the dude who I also I forget that gentleman's name as well, but those were the two.
We'll call her and the dude. Them.
Yeah, those two people that were with her the last time her and Mando were partying. They are both, I believe, confirmed for this season.
Great.
I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, Sasha Banks is. I think I saw that the guy was too, but
she was so good.
She was awesome.
I still can't get over like how good at that job she was, and that's awesome. So that's exciting. We get to see them again. That's promising. Do we think we're going right to Mandalore? Do you think we're just going right in it? What are we doing before that, if not?
I kind of hope so. I know that he might do something where he like goes and gets the parts for IG-11, but I kind of just want him to like dive right into it and have this crazy adventure on Mando.
That's what I think we are hoping for, but I think this it feels like a video game tangent. Is like to get to Mandalore
Side quest.
I need. It's not even a side quest because it's like the main line. He's like, I need to get to Mandalore, but I need IG-11. IG-11 doesn't work. He needs this part. I need to go get the part to get IG-11 to get to Mandalore. And so like, I think at least one episode is going to take place trying to get this part and then to go back. And I think though pirates, like those prosthetics, you're right, took a lot of time and effort. I do not think we're wasting them on one episode.
No, I think we're definitely seeing them again. Soon, I hope. I liked that they set up kind of several obstacles in this opening episode. They were kind of like, all right, you can pretty much tell where this whole season is going, kind of, from this opening episode. We're going to plant seeds for a bunch of things. So you kind of don't know exactly where we're going, but you do, right? Like, we have kind of an outline here. It was a really effective way to set up a season. It was a really good pilot. Guys, you know what the highlight for me was?
Tell us.
The Purgle.
Oh, I flipped.
Oh, yeah.
I lost my mind. Loved that.
I saw that. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. They're actually showing us the Purgles.
That was a Leonardo DiCaprio.
I'm doing it. It's a podcast. Hello. But like, oh my God.
Those guys.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I was like losing my mind. And I was like, of course they were going to show up at some point. We're getting like the Ahsoka series. This is the thread we're following. Like, sure. But it was still so cool to see them this early and like not like fully fleshed out. Like, fine. It was like shadows. I don't care. But I'm just sitting there like losing my mind that Grogu's looking at Purgle. Like, that's amazing. I don't know why. It's so freaking cool to me.
They did it so well. It was not in your face. It was like it would be quote an Easter egg.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's an Easter egg because I think it's going to be important. I don't know if this show, but definitely when you get to Ahsoka, it's
foreshadowing.
It's definitely foreshadowing. It's definitely a nice little seed to plant again.
Remind you
how
where
awesome.
And anybody who's seen Rebels instantly knows what those are, knows what happened, and goes, "Oh yeah." Like you're right. Yeah. The mind remembering. Like we're working on that. Don't worry.
Yeah, it was such a nice moment, and Grogu's reaction was awesome and priceless, and it was just done with such finesse, and just like we're gonna give you a little bit, just a little bit. We're not gonna like rub it in your face. We're not gonna like go down this road right now, but this is here. Remember this? Cool. Like it's such a good way to do it. And it was a very much if you know, you know. If you don't, you're intrigued. Like instantly.
Yeah.
And done very, very well. I think beat for beat, this episode did everything it was trying to do well. You know what I mean? Like it was like, okay, we have a checklist of things we need to establish here. And every single point was hit well. Like, I don't think they missed on anything, you know?
Yeah, it was just under 40 minutes. We got Grogu being cute and using the Force. We got, like a quirky, funny Star Wars scene. We got a cool space battle. We saw awesome practical effects. There was the cool bait and switch at the start. We saw the armor. There was a very like ominous, like, where's this gonna go moment between Bo-Katan and Mando, and they reminded us of the Darksaber. We saw the Purgles, as you said, Nicole, for the big nerds will be like, oh, okay, this is gonna be really cool, probably in Ahsoka. There was a lot of stuff. It wasn't this like amazing, insane premiere, but I don't think it has to be. I'm seeing like I have friends that are complaining, but it was okay, it was good. Like it's a premiere is just like laying a foundation.
Yeah,
it's setting up the story. It doesn't need to be sure. Like sometimes it can be this like insane like we're off to the races episode, but like clearly they're just laying the foundation for a lot of different characters and stories here, and that's all it needed to do. It was fine. Have a little patience.
Yeah, so you said it was close to 40. It was 32 minutes minus credits.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
So it's pretty short. And like I had complained really the second season where they kept bringing in the guest of the day, guest of the week. They didn't do that here. And I was actually kind of surprised as we did not get Hondo. I thought we were getting
Hondo and Aka. Mm-hmm.
We were getting Hondo. And like I would be okay with Hondo, but also going back to my complaints before, like I could see like you didn't get that with this episode at all. No. And I don't know if that's trying to just avoid doing that or if that's just where the story is going from now. But like I think my biggest criticism of the episode like wasn't my favorite. That I didn't like that they killed the animal, especially right after we talked with Melissa.
Yeah, I didn't love that.
And I didn't like the droid part quest. I feel like it feels superfluous. Like it may not be, but it kind of in this episode, it feels like it's just adding extra when we want to get to Mandalore now. As an audience, we want to get to Mandalore now, and you're delaying it. Like it's obviously it's a story.
It can't be that easy. Like as a storyteller, it can't be that. You need to put something in his way. He can't just go to Mandalore. It can't be that easy. And I also think they're setting up for something to happen on Mandalore that's like, okay, this was worth it. We needed the droid. I don't know what that is yet because again, it's a friggin' pilot. It's a premiere. That's what I'm looking for. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't know. It's like it can't be that easy. We can't just go there because that's a season. That's something we're aiming for. Because as soon as like that doesn't work out or does work out, now what? You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's like that's a journey. That's
the point of the season.
Yeah.
And so we kind of you gotta hold off getting there.
Exactly. He needs a few obstacles in the way so that there can be an insane, like crazy, like confrontation as well as this whole situation with Mandalore. You know what I mean? We need like levels of conflict for a finale. So that's my assumption as to where we're going. Do we know how many episodes we have in this season?
I would assume 8.
Is it 8?
Check.
Because the last 2 seasons have been 8. I can't imagine that they would change.
Probably not.
Based on how formulaic they've been with the setting this stuff up.
Yeah.
I was also surprised we didn't get Quill.
It is 8.
It's 8. Great. Thank you.
Krill, the Ugnaught who reprogrammed IG-11.
Oh yeah.
Like I was like seriously expecting him to come in and help out when IG-11 was.
Where is he?
He's
physically?
dead.
Isn't he dead? Yeah.
Is he dead?
Yeah, he died saving Grogu in the first season on the speeder bike chase.
You're absolutely right. I think JJ.
Yeah, he's very dead.
He dead.
He is not gonna be coming back.
No.
I need a minute.
Oh, Jim, buddy. Good shout, JJ. I think you're absolutely right.
You're right. I just looked it up. He died.
He's dead.
That explains why it wasn't him.
Yeah. There you go. You got your answer.
Sorry, buddy.
That worked out. That's funny. I really don't have much else to say about it, I don't think. I thought it was really exciting, really good, did what a premiere had to do. Yeah, it wasn't mind-blowing. Doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's a good
Doesn't
start.
have to be. It's a
good
setup.
start.
Yeah, it's a really good start. Got me very excited about this show again, which I always was excited. You know, I was amped. But, like, it gave me that feeling of, like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to be able to wait until, like, the next episode comes out. This is so exciting. Like, it gave me that feeling in my belly of, like, that fire of just, like, give me more of this. Like, I love that. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. There's that intangible excitement around this show that it like reignited, and I was very pleased about it. So I was happy with the episode.
The Star Wars social media team does a very good job at promoting this show also. Mm-hmm. Really to the detriment of the Bad Batch, which is going on concurrently. But it makes you want to watch the show. You really want to get into it. And I'm interested to see, because we don't have anything announced, specific release dates announced after the end of this show, which ends right about the same time as Celebration.
Interesting.
And so, like, I think the Celebration may be like episode 7-ish.
Okay.
This is off the top of my head. So, but it's one of those, like, we don't have any indications what's coming up. And we know that Bob Iger has said that he wants to pull back on the Disney Plus content because of how much money they're hemorrhaging. And so I'm interested to see what kind of gap we're going to be getting.
Yeah,
I don't know. They need to really figure out what the heck they're going to do post sequel trilogy with the timeline, because there's seemingly still nothing set up for that.
Yeah, pretty much. Except we were talking about the Creatures episodes.
Galaxy of
Creatures is after the sequels. That's it.
Galaxy of Creatures and one comic. Not even a full comic.
Yeah.
It's like one part of a comic where they're eulogizing Snap.
That's it. That's all we got.
That I'm almost positive that is it.
That's nuts.
But that's all I got. Anything else, JJ?
No. Thanks for having me, guys. It was fun, as always.
Glad to have you, my friend.
I think we'll try to have you on at when Bad Batch wraps up, I believe, is the current plan.
I should probably start watching it again.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Bad Batch, and then when this one ends as well, we'll have you back.
See, and then we'll have you again on in 2024.
Right. Incredible.
The Incredibles?
Sure.
Okay. All right. You can reach us, Talkin Tauntauns, at AIPTcomics.com. You can find us on Twitter at Talkin Tauntauns. You can join our Patreon through AIPTcomics.com and join us on Discord. You can leave us a 5-star review with glowing praise all around. And that's all I got. Next week, we're going to catch up on the last 3 episodes of of the Bad Batch.
Are we doing that? Okay. I better watch it.
Yeah, we are. All right. Well, we'll see you then.